Hey Tim, how's it going, man? That was a fun little intro. I didn't know we were gonna have a spooky countdown this time. That was fun.
Yeah, and it's like you kind of have like your moments where you think, oh no, only 10 seconds left, and then suddenly you think, hey, wait, this isn't the usual upbeat intro. All good, all good.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Is Halloween a big in the Netherlands at all?
I wouldn't say so. I mean, they'll of course push it on you with like adverts and things like that, but
Naturally, anything that's
uh,
it's an opportunity for commerce will not be missed.
but we did have the somewhat related one on like the 11th of the 11th, where the folks
Hmm.
would go around their houses and sing carols and things like that. So I
That's
think we're
fun.
just
That's
I
fun.
don't know, we've moved it up a bit, but yeah.
Moved it like made it classier.
I wouldn't say classier. Yeah, maybe it is. The tradition is that you go around with like your own paper lantern, and have it be that way, not dress up and get drunk and those kind
That
of things.
sounds nice. That sounds
Hmm.
nice. Kevin is asking where our disguises are, and what he doesn't realize is that we've swapped. I'm Tim, and that's Sam. Like that's how good the disguises are. You
Oh,
didn't even realize.
it's the glasses that gives it away. It's
Yeah, yeah. The real Sam has perfect vision.
so yeah. No, how have you been? It feels like it's been a while since we did these. It's
Yeah, I guess it kind of has been. Yeah, there was like we had a week off and a couple weeks where you were gone gallivanting around from one conference to another. So I guess it's been like a month since there was like a Code Remix stream that had both of us on it, right? That sounds
yeah,
about
I
right.
think so. Yeah, yeah.
It's,
And of course,
it's
it'll only last 1 week because next week there's conferences again.
Of
So
course, of course. Be honest with me here? Do you have a bot just writing, CF papers to submit to conferences for you?
not yet, not yet. It's like
Not yet.
there was one call for papers for, I think that was J Focus, where they asked on a question form like the percentage of how much of your abstract has been created by ChatGPT, which I
it,
thought
it
was
asks that like fill
yeah,
in a scalar figure.
which I think is like an honest amount. Like
Yeah,
in my
yeah.
case,
What
it's zero, but I
zero?
think.
Okay, all right.
Maybe I'm just lagging behind. Maybe I'm old fashioned and just tiny.
You gotta be on the cutting edge, man. Let's see. I've been told. Oh yeah, we could do some underlighting for spooky effect.
And here I just got like a perfect ring camera and a light to light up better, and then that's
Yeah,
it.
well, just take the
Oh,
ring camera and put it on. Which reminds me, I should probably turn mine on. Just take the ring camera and put it underneath for the spooky lighting. Um, yeah, I know. Today we're gonna talk about refactoring disasters. I had one, not a refactoring disaster, but a happy refactoring kind of thing. So let me explain. The one of the things that first got me interested in like buying a computer rather than just a regular video game console. Because as a kid, I had a Nintendo console, and that was pretty sick. That was pretty sweet, let me tell you. But I saw at a store or something a kiosk or like a computer that was set up was playing Red Alert. Did you ever? I know you're not a big
yep,
gamer. Did you ever play
yep.
Red Alert, Tim? You know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about
yeah.
here? Yeah.
That's the time I still played video games. That's the
There you go. So you
oh,
remember this. So Red Alert was set in an alternate history where Einstein went back in time and killed Hitler, and so World War II was a sci-fi Soviets versus sci-fi Europeans and Americans. And but I didn't know any of that when I saw just this little bit of a base, which is already larger and more intricate than anything I'd seen in like a Super Nintendo game. And then a tank rolled up to the base, and it got blasted with a ray of lightning from a Tesla tower, and I'm like, oh, that's so cool. I
hmm
gotta I gotta
yeah, yeah,
have that.
yeah.
So since then, real time strategy games are not like the in vogue genre anymore. There hasn't been a lot of investment in that from the industry, but I recently discovered that there's a heritage of real time strategy games. Little known in the wider world, but popular amongst its devotees from games like Total Annihilation and Supreme Commander and Planetary
hmm
Annihilation. That an open source group of developers have non-commercially released a free and updated version of Total Annihilation called Beyond All Reason, and it's totally free. It's open source. Anyone could go contribute to it, and it could support like 100 players. So I've been watching,
Yeah. Yeah.
videos, recordings of these massive like 100-player games of just armies of like thousands of units smashing into each other and exploding, and it's totally free, so there's no marketing budget. So that was just like
Yep.
this little refactoring, like this little gift. Some passionate person had gone and remade this old game and made it modern and free for everyone. I was like, wow, what a cool little gift to the world and everyone. And yeah, so Red Alert and the appeal of the real time strategy genre, it motivated me to get interested in computers to some extent. It
Yep.
was one of the first, not that I necessarily wouldn't have without it, but it was one of those like first little sparks of, I gotta see what these computer things are about. If I can build a little base and blow up the little tanks, I gotta have that.
Yeah. No, and it just, I don't know, reminds me of the days where you would just get a group of guys together bring your desktop computer and your screen
Absolutely, the
and
full
plug
LAN
them all
party
into the.
experience.
Just,
When was the last time you went to a LAN party, Tim?
I'm gonna say 20 years ago, maybe. That's
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, for me, the last like big one I went to was in like high school, and then in college, we were just like over to brought a couple computers over to a buddy's house for like Age of Empires, but haven't done like a full big one with a dozen or more people since then. These days, when I bought my new computer, I didn't check how big the case was when I ordered it,
yeah.
and it looked reasonably sized in the thumbnail, but the actual case is massive. It's like an obelisk. It's twice as big as it needs to be to fit a full ATX motherboard and all the stuff. So I'm like, I'm not carrying this anywhere. If I'm gonna have a LAN party and use this computer, LAN party's gonna have to come to me. So
But it beats having to like fold up your motherboard and try to get it in there. But it's
all right. So what do we have for announcements for the people this week, Tim?
Let me share a screen. I have a couple of things to share. So that would be this one. So we have a new blog out on where we explain what you can now do with taint tracking. So taint tracking is it's an existing technique, but in the old days, you would get like Boolean back, like is this or is this not something that we're not interested in, which doesn't really fit well with the current model where we want to be able to track like multiple sources and have like a confidence scores for those sources, especially when looking across different repositories. And we've written up a blog where we think that this is a much improved way to do this exactly. So you can read about more of that on our modern blog. So we've shared the link. It's available to you. It is a good read. And of course, we'd love to hear what use cases you have in mind now that we have this capability. Because we've already are exploring like existing use cases that we had for taint tracking, but now with increased confidence. But of course, there's much more you could be doing with this technology. So let us know in the comments or in the issues, and we'll explore that together.
Yeah, absolutely. You can do all kinds of cool stuff with taint tracking and data flow analysis. There's lots of like vulnerabilities or code anti-patterns require not just the presence of a particular method invocation at a particular point in the code, but some user data flowing or not flowing through some set of guards or other verification methods. And so you can use the data flow and taint tracking capabilities to write recipes that have few that you don't have false positives when you're looking for things that violate some best practice or some security posture.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And the example in the blog is like if you have a byte array, you have no way to know yet whether that is something that could potentially be public. It's like a challenge token, or whether it is something that is very much needs to be kept private. So where in the old days you either got too many or too few results from your analysis, now you can be sure of what you get. And that's a great boon to help your investments in analyzing this more be very targeted and very precise. So,
yeah, we'll have to do a code remix showing off how to write recipes that use taint tracking and data flow analysis.
Absolutely. Yep. So then, moving on, Also new is that we finally have 5,000 recipes in the catalog. There's we did a small announcement on our socials where we've been like seeing that counter inch up as we go through. And I remember when I first came across Open Rewrite, I think 4 years ago, we only had like 500 at the time. Now, of course, there's like 5,000. It's really interesting to see that escalate to this level, and we keep going. Like if you go into the Modern platform today, we're already 32 recipes beyond the 5,000 that we just crossed in the past week. So it's just been great to see that move, and I don't know, good fun.
Yeah, totally. I've also been. This isn't maybe as user facing a milestone, but we're inching towards 10,000 commits on the Open Rewrite repository, where it looks like 199 away. So if I remember, I'm going to try to snipe number 10,000. You know, maybe even have a little script ready to go just to make sure that I get that one.
Yeah, the moment that you see the very last one before committed, you do want to like follow up with a celebratory.
Exactly. Yeah. Update readme.md.
And not have it be revert of the last thing you did that actually broke things. So it's just
yeah, totally.
So then also new is if you look at the marketplace, you will see slight differences as compared to maybe last week and the weeks before. So we did a bit of a revamp. So we moved the organization selected to the top bar, making it always possible to see exactly what you're looking at. So very pleased to have that there. Search has moved to the top right. It's still as powerful, but it's just better fitting in that top corner. And then, beyond that, small updates. Some icons have moved from the left, where we kind of scrolled out a few, to now have them in the top right corner. So we're quite pleased with this. If you have some feedback, definitely let us know. And there's also some improvements in the way that our Dev Center looks. So that Parliament view, that's a really big improvement. And there's some things coming up here as well, where you should be able to convert this into a more historical overview as well. So keep an eye out for those kind of changes, and definitely let us know if you have any feedback. So then beyond that, there's also some live events coming up. The first one is in November, where we're going to be in New York with where you can meet the team and you can have a discussion with folks from Google, Meta, Uber, Modern, and Open Rewrite about code maintenance at scale with AI. If that is a little out of your usual homework travels, then we're also going to do one in the UK. So they'll be at Canary Wharf with a slightly different arrangement of folks, some familiar faces, some new, and hope that you see you at one of those. I'll be in the UK one, but yeah.
Do we know if these are being live streamed? I mean, there's a registration form. If people register, will they be able to watch a live stream or a recording?
I believe that these are in person only. So there's a registration you can go through, and then be sure to claim your spot if you're in the area. I'm not sure if they're going to be live streamed. So it's we did a live stream, I think a week or two ago. I was in Basel, so it was on a Wednesday, but I'm not sure anymore if it was last week or the week before. So if you're interested, then register and attend in person, I would say. And then moving on, there's one more thing that I'm personally very excited about is that we're adding a new parser for Docker files. So continuing to expand that recipe catalog, and we now have this work in progress. We're able to do some type-assisted refactorings on Docker files. So if you want to do an analysis of the images that you're using, or you want to maybe change things that are somewhat deprecated, like the maintainer tag, then you can check this out, and we'll very soon be able to land this as soon as I work through the last of Knut's comments. Looking forward to that. And then if, like me, once in a while you want to fresh up your high school French, then there's a nice blog detailing how to use scanning recipes from a good friend of ours who, as part of a series on Open Rewrite, now has a blog on advanced techniques like using the scanning recipes for the French market or the French-speaking market. So if you're in Quebec or you're in France itself or parts of Africa, you can read this blog to learn all about scanning recipes. So. And then finally, of course, just yesterday, we completed the monthly advanced training for this month. But we're already, again, looking forward to next month, where we'll do both an introduction as well as a advanced training. And if you want to get part of that, then go to the Modern Open Rewrite Training Hub. I'll share the link in the chat right here. And then from there, you'll be able to chat with us and get coaching on developing your own recipes going forward to continue to expand that 5,000 recipe catalog with maybe some internal ones for your own organization or some public ones that others can benefit from as well. So hope to see you there. So then that is everything that I wanted to share right here.
Good stuff. Which I guess brings us to our main topic, which is refactoring horror stories from across the industry. You know, we talked about refactoring and modernization a lot on here, but it is not not something that comes without risk. You know, there's always whenever you change anything in software, you're inviting the potential for failure, and so. You know, I'm sure, Tim, you've seen and been at some places where well-intentioned efforts to improve things haven't.
Yep.
Or have
It's
been
like,
much more difficult or much more costly than anticipated going into it.
yeah, so if you ask me what I've been doing the past 2 days, it has been trying to get the builds working again. Where you think,
Yeah.
we'll just do this one small thing, and then we'll fix it downstream, and then 2 days later, you're back to mostly things working again, just from a
Yeah.
small upgrade. I think,
What was the small upgrade in this case?
this was just trying to get the builds to work with Gradle 9.1. Which I don't coming from 8.14 and wanted to be somewhat close to the most recent releases. And very frustratingly, when you're finally almost done, you see that 9.2 is out, which is just 2 hours ago. But
so you could have just started with going straight to 9.2 if only it had been available at the moment you began.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be another run that I do pretty soon after this call completes. But so
hopefully it won't be a major version bump, so hopefully this one will be easier. Because this one little upgrade, you know, we've got a recipe that upgrades your Gradle wrappers across all your repositories, but it doesn't necessarily it doesn't like automatically account for any plugins that might not have been updated to support the newest version or any you know other breaking changes unless you know we add in other recipes for those things. Like what kind of bit us or bit you the most about this Gradle upgrade, just so we can you know warn the people who might want to attempt it for themselves.
Well, some of these are just very specific to the things we do at Open Rewrite. So we of course have support for Gradle versions going back to Gradle 4. So that brings in Groovy version 2, and now Gradle 9 brings in Groovy version 4. And we need to support that whole range, and you want to test against that whole range. And not only that, but also Kotlin 1.9 being used on Gradle 7 Plus, I think. And now on 9, you have the Kotlin 2 that you need to support. And you can't ditch the old parsers the moment that a new one comes out. So you have to kind of like limp along the old ones as well to be able to support folks that haven't yet upgraded, because we're in the business of upgrading. So that was one part of the experience. And then the other parts is using some Nebula plugins developed at I think in part Gradle, part Netflix, and having to phone some
Netflix developed them originally and then gave them to Gradle to maintain at some point, as I think how it worked out.
And the good thing is we have short lines with the folks there. So when they pushed the fix in July or May and hadn't yet released it, and we kind of needed it, then it's only a text message short. So halfway through yesterday evening, we got some new releases going, and now we're mostly up and running. So that's good. But yeah, that's good. 2 days of refactoring where you think, this will be, I don't know, maybe an hour. And then
I'm just going to bump one version number. How hard could it be?
And I do have to say I'm very pleased to have the platform, because of course that allows us to like not make it a drawn out 2 weeks of trying to get everything going, but have your feedback loop just that much quicker. So that's been good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, one time when I still worked at Tableau, you know, I was part of converting their Anton Ivy build over to Gradle, And at some point, I was like, "Oh, we're stuck on an old version of check style. The newer version of Gradle defaults, it's Java plugin defaults to a newer version of check style. I'll just upgrade the check style version. How hard could it be?" And it turns out that like just between those two versions of check style, they had like fixed bugs that had prevented issues from being detected. So even though none of the rules had changed that we were configuring in those upgrades, the new version was detecting hundreds of violations that the old version didn't. So and that was a big monolith I was working in. So I had to, and I was too stubborn to quit halfway through. So I ended up making a change list that touched fully 5,000 individual files in order to upgrade that version of Checkstyle. And there was no, open rewrite common static analysis recipe, there to help me out at that time. So it was all manual. And after, I don't even know how, a week or 2 weeks or something of just like, fixing these little Checkstyle violations one after the other, I finally get it committed. And well, then for all the remaining years I worked there, I'd get random pings from people, git blaming in some file. I'd be like, you were the last person to touch this. What the hell is this code about? And I'm like, I don't know, man. I just changed the style or the formatting or something.
That's one thing I learned is that there is this git blame revision ignore, and that's a really helpful one if you wanna like wash your hands of anything you've done. Just put it in there. No one's going to check that one, and then the git blame doesn't end up with you. It's perfect.
Yeah, that honestly would have been better because they probably wanted to talk to the person who actually wrote that code originally. I wouldn't have been being disingenuous by like hiding that I was at fault for things. It just would have been like the actual authors of this code who know what it's about.
Mm-hmm.
Those are who you'd want to see in the blame, so you could figure out who to ask a question to, not the person who came in with a superficial change on top.
And of course, it lingers, these kind of things, because anytime you get like GitHub would suggest a reviewer for a bit of code, it'll be the last one who touched it, and that's going to be you again because you touched 5,000 files.
Looks like Kevin was was also a committer on every single repository. I wonder if anyone digging through the legacy code is like, damn, this Kevin guy, he was so prolific. He wrote everything. Is he the founder?
Yeah, it's when it's good code, it's honorable. When it's not so much things that you everyone, then like I said, revision ignore.
Man, when I was an intern at Microsoft, my mentor was telling me about something that he had done when he was an engineer at Hewlett Packard, and I wish I could remember exactly what it was. But like his boss asked him for a utility, like to create a tool, and he's like, "This is a bad idea. This goes against all of our appropriate architecture and best practices. But I get why it is expedient for you in this situation. So I will write this tool for you as a one-off, so long as my name is never attached to it in any way, and no one ever comes to ask me questions about it or ever seeks for it to be maintained." And his boss was like, yeah, totally. And so he made him the tool. And well, there's nothing more permanent than a temporary solution. So eventually, despite his best efforts to hide his involvement, someone did indeed look him up with questions about the tool. I don't think he ever figured out how they got his name, as he'd been careful to avoid leaving it in source control or anywhere. And the only person who should have known was supposedly sworn to secrecy about it. So 3 may keep a secret if 2 are dead and all that.
It's one of those things. If the design document that you have, the ADR, starts with "this is a bad idea," then
exactly.
It's honest. It's just should it have been committed at all? Maybe don't have a Git repository for it. It's,
yeah, totally. Yeah, never leave fingerprints. Yeah, have you ever written a piece of code that you wanted to hide your involvement in, that you were like, I don't want this getting back to me?
I've written several tools that I thought, I'm not going to put this in the open rewrite org, and I'll keep it in my personal one because I don't want to. I want to hide my shame, and then but that has been doing all the releases for the past 2 years, and at some point we promoted it to an internal tool that I'm still not proud of, but it works.
But it works. Yeah, it is. Yeah, we kind of have a distributed monolith scattered around
Mm-hmm.
a bunch of different repositories. We still more or less want to release it all together most of the time. So I don't know. It's convenient to be able to do individual releases of the downstream recipe modules, but also whenever we release the core open rewrite, we want to release all the downstream recipe modules, just to make sure that they're built and tested against it. So I think most software projects want the benefits offered by being a monolith, as well as the benefits offered by being a constellation of independent modules, which both obviously come with their own trade-offs and things that they're good for. And people naturally want to choose all of the good of both techniques and none of the bad. And usually you get a lot of both.
Yeah, you get a roll of duct tape in some corner to make it work, and yeah, that's I don't know. Like I said, not proud of it, but it works, and it also means that our release schedule has been become to be known as every other Wednesday unless Tim is traveling. That's I don't trust anyone else with the thing.
That is the one of the challenges of the homegrown tool that only you know how to use or operate, that you can't foist it off onto anyone else as easily. So we do have some other notable outages from around the industry. Most recently, probably fresh in everyone's mind, is the AWS outage that happened just earlier, like last week, just a few days ago, where in US East 1, there was a DNS resolution failure which affected their DynamoDB, their NoSQL service, which a lot of other AWS internal services, not to mention customer services, are kind of based upon. And so because both internal AWS services and user services depended upon this DynamoDB access, like a massive chunk of the internet went down. Although not the modern SaaS, which also runs in US East 1, although not exclusively. We also run in other cloud environments and other regions too. But our infrastructure was all based on immutable VMs, shipping software out of Spinnaker and not relying on DynamoDB or many of these other AWS services. So, EC2 just kept right on trucking. But yeah, broad swaths of the internet were impacted.
Yep.
Did you try to use anything that was impacted by that outage, Tim? Was that one that you noticed or that affected you?
I think the most fun thing I saw was someone who in Australia was one of the first to notice, because the automated feeder for their cat didn't go off at 6 a.m. in Australia. And that, of course, set in motion what's going on. And then imagine some cat hitting you in the face because the food didn't dispense.
Yeah, the first person affected by the AWS outage was a cat. It was like, where's my food, damn it? I remember I saw some fun stories of like people who for some reason have internet connected smart beds with heating functions and reclining functions, found their beds stuck with the heater on, so they woke very toasty, or stuck in an inclined position, and it's just like, why did this need to connect to the internet? I mean, obviously, I guess you save a few cents and can collect more customer data to sell if you, rather than providing a control with buttons, have it all go through an internet-connected app. But maybe think twice about about buying any IoT device.
And how else are you going to get ads pushed towards you from the little LCD screen on your bed in the near future?
Yeah, you might miss a notification that it's time to buy a new mattress if your mattress isn't internet connected. What would you do? How would you ever know that you needed to buy a new mattress if it didn't tell you?
Oh, so. But yeah, I think it's
very spooky.
It did reset
definitely a sleepless night for a bunch of AWS engineers after that, who all got rung up on on-call. Probably everyone who was on call in the company got woken up that night.
Yeah, and I think it's reset the global days since the problem has been DNS to 0 again. Somehow always leads back to DNS.
Good point, Kevin. Surely them laying off 30,000 employees will improve the quality and reliability of their services going forward.
It's all necessary to build new data centers, which never go down. It's you never know.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And then, and then shortly before that, there was not shortly before, but just a few short year ago, there was the CrowdStrike outage. You remember that one, Tim?
That was a fun one. Yeah, just
Yeah,
affecting all kind of airplanes and I think
all
the
kind of
only
businesses.
I think the only one unaffected, I believe it was like Spirit Airlines, who runs everything on like a 486 somewhere in a basement. And
Yeah, well, I mean, big banks long ago understood the wisdom of like if you have a big complex code base that works, even if it's all written in COBOL and big expensive mainframes, mess with it at your peril.
oh,
CrowdStrike one, they make endpoint security, which is to say you got some public-facing computer, either public because it's out on the internet, or because it's like physically in a kiosk that'll sell you a ticket at an airport, and you want that to
oh,
be difficult to infect with viruses. They will sell you antivirus software that will run on those, and their big thing is rapid updating for new vulnerabilities or threats as they are discovered. Will just get rapidly pushed out to everything. And what happened here was that there was a broken update. You know, the update
mm,
itself made some change to the configuration of, I don't remember exactly what it was, but it made Windows unbootable. So all of these systems were taken down by their endpoint protection, which realistically no virus would have done. The virus would probably, well, not no virus, but most viruses would want the system to keep running so they could mine Bitcoin or steal personal information on it. So in this case, there was probably more immediate, direct, and bad customer or user impact from the antivirus software than there would have been from the viruses.
it did help their name become more established. So you suddenly like your parents would know about the company you worked at and things like that.
Yeah, yeah, totally, totally. I was traveling at the time that the CrowdStrike outage happened, and just fortunately was lucky that my airline was less affected, or like I guess I was traveling out like a couple days after like the
Yep.
initial CrowdStrike happened, and so they had mostly had things back online by then. So my flight was not personally delayed, but at the time, we did have a customer who was telling us you should get CrowdStrike, or you should get endpoint protection, and they use CrowdStrike, so they were probably would have told us to use CrowdStrike. Um, for the recipe workers in the SaaS, and we're like, that's really expensive and wastes a bunch of compute, and like do we need it? I mean, really? And
Mm-hmm.
so when that happened, we're like, yeah, we're not doing that. We're not doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw, and I was seeing emails from like CrowdStrike salespeople, just trying to sell their stuff to us and to everyone. And I was just like, man, you're not making your quota this quarter. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been an interesting one, and I think the only way to remediate it was to physically go to each and every one of them, right? So it's just
For a lot of them, yeah, I had to get in
yeah,
there and fix the
bring a
busted
ladder
configuration
and
file.
yeah, go climb up whatever I don't know the bus stop that you had to do and things like that. It's just yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Oh,
Yeah, so that was a fun one. And then oh yeah, and there was in 2012, finally going back a little bit further in time, there was Knight Capital, which was trying to update their trading software, and while making a patch, they accidentally re-enabled an old code path that should have been protected by a feature flag, but that got turned back on and caused them to issue a whole bunch of trades in like wrong amounts that lost them all of the money, and the company went bankrupt within days. So like when we talk about like, hey, you should use like rewrite launch darkly or rewrite feature flags to maybe get rid of those defunct code paths that you're like,
mm-hmm.
we're never going to take this code path anymore. The feature is on in production always now. You probably do want to rip out the old code, as you're only one typo away from it being re-enabled. And if you're in a company that does algorithmic or automatic trading, that bug could directly send all of your money out the door very
Yep.
quickly.
And there's always companies ready to pounce on whatever bad trades you're offering, and then that's like that's you're seconds away from disaster there. And I think they had a thing where it's like they were trying to on 1 out of 7 servers deploy this, and then didn't quite work because they had reused an old feature flag, thinking, this one is not used, we can reuse it. We'll save a bit of bytes and effort and just start with this one, and then didn't quite work. So they thought, well, let's roll back everything, and it enabled it on all 7, and that kind of triggered the whole meltdown. So,
Gotcha. Yeah, my internet spazzed for just a second there, but it looks like the connection's stable again for now. I thought you were freezing, but I think it was me who froze. Yeah. Yeah, so be careful about about reusing old codes. You have to imagine that having some reasonable sort of like test infrastructure or deployment safeguards might have prevented this. But a lot of that stuff, I've heard it. I've heard the truism. There's never time to do it right, but there's always time to do it twice in our industry before, and I think we've all seen that before, where someone's like, we should put these safeguards in place. We should be deliberate about this change, whatever it might be. And someone's like, no, there's no time for that. Let's just get it done. And then it has problems, and then we're like, well, we're redoing it from scratch. So a lot of the times the choice is, do you want to do it slowly and deliberately once, or do you want to do it slipshod and messed up twice?
Yeah.
And I've definitely been on both sides of that of like pushing. Yeah, let's just do. I've been the what's the worst that could happen guy on things before, and then it's like, oh, that's the worst that could happen, huh? Okay, well, lesson learned. Fortunately, I haven't bankrupted a company with an old feature flag or anything. Have you ever like personally pushed a change that really messed up a ton of things or anything?
There was a time where I worked at let's say anonymous world's largest flower market.
Okay, cool, yeah.
And then we had I think it was DocumentDB or MongoDB, which had an option to, like, if you want to add a index and you want to do that concurrently whilst not taking the database down, then there is a flag where you can set that, and just it'll work. Or so the docs lied to your face. And of course, it didn't work, and it took 4 hours for things to become responsive again. And all that while we were unavailable in a period where there was already some negative sentiment about us being unavailable for a while. So we also learned how you can spend a good amount of money waiting for 4 hours for someone from our platform at the time to call us back, whilst waiting for this outage and an expert to become available. And it's just, I don't know.
So the outage took about 4 hours to resolve, and the expert took about 4 hours to call you back. Did like things come up and start working again, and then the expert calls you back? Like, I'm ready to help.
Yeah, it's like 4 hours of downtime and 4 hours and 10 minutes before he actually picked up and came to help out.
You think he was? Do you think he had some telemetry to watch? Was he like waiting for it to go green before he called you? Because he's like, man, I don't know how to fix this shit. They're gonna be so mad when they call me and I can't help. And then he sees the system come back up, and he's like, hello, what can I do?
Yeah, no, it's I don't know. We were we walked away unimpressed both by their documentation as well as the level of service that we thought we were paying for. But
yeah. When you're paying for support and you're not getting a call back for 4 hours during a major outage, I think you could very well reconsider whether you're re-upping the contract. So did you guys stay with that database provider or that service company?
I'm not sure. I was a consultant at the time, and I was getting ready to move to the next one. So
nice. Yeah, that is the nice thing about being a consultant. You don't always have to clean up your own messes. The bad thing, of course, you have to clean up everyone else's messes when they're like, "Oh man, this stuff is messed up. Let's get some consultants in here to deal with it."
and very rarely do you get to do greenfield, so you just you come in as the last guy left, and you discovered why he left, and then you have to clean up.
Yeah, because the code had become an unworkable mess, and he's like, I don't want to deal with this. This could be someone else's problem. Do you have any other fun like consulting stories. I've never been a consultant exactly, although I've working for vendors of software gone in and seen some interesting like customer setups choices and self-created problems before, but I've never been a consultant.
Not sure. I think this one was a very interesting one where my task near the end of that assignment very much became we want you to be to prep everything for it to be deleted, which is a very interesting way of approaching software development. So you're building things for them to be deleted later, such that you're kind of strangling a old system implemented in one language, whereas the team was more comfortable in another one. And I don't know, it makes every temporary thing that you add very much a I don't know, short-term gain. So you're just like, how can we safely, after I leave, allow them to switch things off in which order and document things, everything for it to be deleted later. It was very liberating to work in that way. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I imagine it kind of like a construction worker placing charges to implode and demolish an old structure, of being like, this support is load bearing, like we'll put the charge there, but these ones should go off first so that it all collapses in on itself rather than exploding outward and causing a mess for other stuff.
Exactly that. So, and it's a lot of fun because you suddenly start to care about other things. Like you don't care about the quality of the code so much as the stability of it, and you just want to have it like it needs to last for another 3 months, and it is software, so 3 to 6 months.
Yeah. But it's planned to be needed for another 3 months. So in 6 months, when we actually get rid of it.
But it all worked out well. So it was a fun little different way of approaching your usual software development. Oh yeah, you want to have things work until the end of time. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and then I guess that kind of brings us to our next software refactoring horror story from out in the industry. Many people, including me, enjoy the social media website Reddit. And back in 2017, they went to totally revamp their UI and bring it into the new world of apps and big old buttons and lots of white space and lots of space for embedded ads between the content. And the users used to a website that was densely packed with text and utilitarian options were like, what is this shit? I went from being able to see 20 posts at a time on my front page to 4 and 2 ads. Like, what the hell are you doing? And Reddit rose to prominence in the first place because the social media website Dig made all of their users so mad that they all fled to Reddit. So Reddit was like, oh no, like we're doing a dig and all of our users are going to be so pissed off they'll flee to the next thing. And so to this day, Reddit maintains 2 UIs. You can go to old.reddit.com and get the classic UI, or go to the new Reddit or the new interface. But I mean, this is not quite 10 years old, but getting there soon. So the new UI, and I mean the old UI is better, so I do recommend that one.
and of course, it just goes to show you can't really delete things, because that one, it is still live. It's still being used. It's maybe even used more than the other one with a certain demographic of the users. So
yeah, I do wonder. I mean, I don't think they would ever publish stats. Kevin's finally gotten used to the new UI. It only took 7 years. Did you know, Kevin, that you could just keep using the old UI? Yeah. So that's I think that's this place that says to keep your code modernized, you'll have to continue supporting it forever. Yeah, did use the old UI for a very long time. Yep. Spooky Reddit ads, yeah. I think that's a good reminder of some of the finer points in the Agile manifesto around like getting your code in front of actual users sooner, so that you don't accidentally build something that they don't want or won't accept. I think that's one of the fundamental insights, like the thing that Agile like most accomplishes is avoiding building software that no one wants or will actually use, by by iterating rapidly and putting it in front of people rapidly, so that if you get the feedback that you're building the wrong thing, you get it before you've totally finished building the new thing, and could course correct before you find yourself with twice as much user interface to maintain effectively in perpetuity. So I imagine that's one of those cases where, because they, like, we'll do a new UI and we'll get rid of all these things about the old UI that we don't like having to design or maintain for. Well, now you have to do both always, or for coming up on 10 years now.
Yeah. And you also know that you can't really do a new UI anyway, because you already have, like, are you gonna have alt2.reddit.com? It's like,
they might. I mean, depending on how dramatic they went with any given changes. Let's see. Yeah. I think that's the last kind of refactoring horror story I have on our list that I know enough about to speak to personally. Do you have any other refactoring horror stories, Tim?
I know, but typically, like, my memory is quite good, but I'm also trying to, like, push out things actively and try to move on and look forward. So it'll be the crisis of the week, and then I try not to think back too much.
Yeah,
because it's just.
And a lot of it depends on, like, what mental indexes do you have built up. Like, I saw a YouTube clip of one of these, like, man on the street style, like, interview things, and it was the format was just like, was very high pressure, and the question he was asking people was, name a woman, like any woman, and he was like, name a woman, and like to a woman, and she was like, I don't know, right? Like, you don't, like, necessarily have, like, like, sure, a lot of women, but you don't know, like, you don't have an index for that to jump from that question to a list of individuals. So yeah, if you don't have that mental index built up, you could find yourself unable to access a lot of information that you fully do know just via other paths.
Yeah, whereas associative, it's more easy to kind of, like, pull things in. Like, the Reddit redesign reminded me of I think a bit of lore about internet interfaces, where I think the only thing they did on an old website was change the background color. And they got bug reports where folks couldn't find the login button anymore. And the login button hadn't moved. It was just the color had changed. So what they ended up doing was spread out over 3 months, gradually change from the hue that they had to the hue that they wanted to move towards.
That's just clever. Yeah. I kind of like that. I do wonder if that meant that the new design, there wasn't enough contrast between their button color and their background color, so they just blended together a little bit.
It's just, I know, you change things and folks get lost, and it's kind of.
Yeah, back in the like the 90s and early 2000, when, like, higher contrast and skeuomorphic design languages were in vogue, it was much more common to, like, illustrate, like, drop shadows around buttons to, like, give them the visual appearance of being, raised out of the UI, and it wasn't necessarily super beautiful all the time, but it did make the elements you're supposed to interact with, like, visually pop. And then as these, like, really flat styles of UI design came into vogue, a lot of that, they looked nicer, but a lot of what made interactive elements obviously interactive went away. Mm-hmm. And so I wonder if it might be, in the case of the website you're talking about, there might have been a little bit of that, like the visual signifiers of, like, this is a button, it is important, you should click and interact with it, had already diminished, and then the theme changes and the contrast gets even less, or it blends into the background a bit more. So yeah, don't. Sometimes it's better to prioritize user experience and user clarity over the design being beautiful, which I think can be a struggle for designers, because, like, as a designer, you're staring at the design for 12 hours. And so if there's something ugly about it, that's going to bother you a lot. And if there's something that isn't usable about it, that's going to bother you very little, because you know the design, you know what you intended it to do. You're not wondering where the login button is, you put it there. So I think that kind of illustrates the importance of having some amount of, like, user testing for people to bring, like, fresh eyes to something in order to be baffled by it. As just anything you create, you necessarily become blind to the new user experience, because you are fundamentally incapable of looking at it through the eyes of a new user.
And I think the challenge of like work from home is that you can't drag someone off the hallway anymore and ask them to like, could you like try to find the login button and then
Yeah. Find the login button. Yeah, it is. You have to be a little bit more deliberate about your communication, which can be hard to do. It's can be hard to do. Yeah. One more little refactoring horror story, and this is a story of how I almost killed a man. Was going back to Tableau when I moved the Ant and Ivy build over to Gradle. It was the principal engineer who kind of like got our group together to try and modernize the build was like he was just looking for us to go and like make a proposal, right? Of like what should we move from Ant and Ivy to? Should we go to Maven or Gradle or like Buck or I don't even think Basil was out publicly yet or outside of Google. And we went and looked at it and we're like, we think we could actually just get the Gradle migration done within the 2-week period we have. So naturally, 4 weeks later, we're approaching actually turning it on, and I finally do, and I turn it on, and naturally there's some problems, right? It's made the build faster in a lot of ways. It's fixed a lot of the problems that had plagued the Ant and Ivy build and led to there be this big request for the migration in the first place. And but things have changed, right? You import the project into your IDE a little different. Like some new problems have popped up, and so I've just been like fielding like customer support requests essentially from all the people who were impacted by this big change that I had just pushed through. And in the company Slack or whatever we used instead of Slack at that time, forget what it was even called now. It's just a worse Slack. Was like, I wish we still had the old Ant and Ivy build. And he was lucky he was on the other side of a chat screen, because if he had just been in front of me, I probably would have throttled him. Like, I did this for you, and then I get this ingratitude, and but no, I just helped him. I just helped him with this problem. So that can be a good thing of working remotely. If you're obnoxious, your coworker can't throttle you right then and there.
Yeah, it's a lot safer for some folks who
And that coworker's name, Kevin Carpenter. You're only alive today because you were far away, Kevin. Actually, you were working at Amazon at that time, yeah. and I was at Tableau.
But he is the safest. I think he's furthest removed from any other colleague. So even if you were to annoy
Kevin's
someone.
down in Argentina at the moment, I believe. So if we were really pissed off at Kevin, it would be. It'd have to be some serious anger to sustain it all the way through booking the flight, going to the airport, going through security, flying, 6 or 8 hours to get there, and then still have to be mad enough at Kevin by the time you got there and not have come up with the
have a bit of energy left over after like a long flight, and then
you might have to be like, hey, can I crash on your couch so we can fight tomorrow? I'm tired.
And then knowing Kevin, he'll be waiting for you with some fresh food and everything, and you'll won't forget why
you gotta try these empanadas. These are really good empanadas. I think that would really take the edge off whatever aggression or anger I was bringing to this confrontation.
Almost makes me wish that there were more reasons to get annoyed at Kevin, because I cannot think of anything, but I do love to fly to Buenos Aires when I can.
Yeah. I've never been to South America. I'd love to go at some point. Love to see Brazil. Love to see Argentina. There's a lot of cool stuff down there that I would love to check out. I've really learned some amount of Spanish or Portuguese. It's just it's difficult since I've always been in such thoroughly English speaking areas that any language you study, it's like where could I even find someone to speak that other language? Like you're studying some French with reading that blog post. You could hop on a train and be in France like today.
Yeah. Before midnight, I can make it to France, I think, or at least Belgium, where they also speak French.
Yeah, there's some French there. You could make it down to Switzerland or something. They got some French speakers. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'll do my best to find a Spanish language blog on OpenRewrite for you next week.
There we go. Yeah, Kevin should be putting out Spanish blogs in OpenRewrite. I could make it to France at midnight, but not tonight's midnight. Yeah, very good, very good. All right. Well, I don't think I have any other refactoring horror stories coming top of mind. So should we call it there? Do we have any final remarks for the people?
No, it's just I look forward to watching the show next week. Well, you'll be doing a deep dive on type attribution And
yes, that'll be fun.
So yeah, be sure to tune in. As I will be at JFall. So hope to see you all next week or the week after. Cheers.
All right. Well, thanks for watching, everyone who watched, and I will see you next week.
Yeah, cheers.